Hi everyone, this is Aaron from HH Watch Reviews. Welcome back to the channel. About 2 months ago, I reviewed the Addiesdive AD2030, and in that video I said that it was one of the best watches you can get for under $70. Well, my opinion hasn't changed on that. But I understand that not everyone wants a dressy looking watch. Some people might want something in that price range, but with a more toolish look. Or maybe some of you like that watch so much and now you only want to spend around $70 on your next watch. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the Watchdives WD1960S, a simple time-only watch with a Ranger design. But before we begin, I want to disclose that this watch was sent to me for free, and I don't have to send it back. But that won't affect my review of the watch, and Watchdives is going to see this review at the same time as everyone else. If after watching this review you're interested in purchasing this watch, you'll find an affiliate link down below in the description. I remember I was a bit hesitant on purchasing the Addiesdive AD2030, and one of my main concerns was the movement inside. I had never heard of the Seiko VH31 before. I don't have experience with many quartz movements, and the fact that that watch only cost around $50 during the sale, I thought maybe it was going to be some really bad quality watch. Obviously that wasn't the case, and I was blown away by the quality of the watch. But I also really liked the movement. I liked it so much that I went ahead and purchased their Explorer homage with the same VH31 movement inside. And just a week or so later, Watchdives contacted me about this watch, and obviously I couldn't say no. Now let's start with the measurements and specifications of the watch. We have a diameter of 36.5 millimeters, a lug-to-lug distance of 43.7 millimeters, a thickness of 12 millimeters, a lug width of 19 millimeters, and the crown is a good 6 millimeters in size. The watch runs on the VH31 Mecha Quartz movement from Seiko. This is what Seiko refers to as their sweep second quartz series. So what that means is that unlike regular quartz movements where the second hand ticks once every second, this watch's second hand ticks at 2 Hz or 4 beats per second. The battery life on this movement should last around 2 years. Now, if you haven't noticed it already, this is a homage to the Tudor Ranger, so it doesn't get any points in originality, but like some of the other popular homages, there is enough to differentiate this watch from the original. For example, the original was released a few years ago in 41 millimeters. And just recently they introduced the 39mm version. The watch community was very happy with the release of a smaller size because that 41mm size was just too big, especially since the watch has a small bezel and so the watch face is mostly dial. Here Watchdives went with an even smaller size at just under 37mm. I think that it's sized even better than the 39mm Tudor Ranger. The crystal measures around 32 millimeters in diameter, and that's as big if not bigger than most of my dive watches. So this watch looks just as good as a 40 millimeter diver watch on my 7-inch wrist. Another thing that's different on this watch is the finishing of the case. The original has a fully brushed case, whereas the WD1960S has some polished details. First, you have the polished bevel on the edge of the lugs. It starts from the center of the case and goes down to the edge of the lugs. Then there is another polished bevel around the bezel. And something I noticed just recently, if you look at the bezel, it looks like it's not seated properly. There's this gap between the top of the case and the bezel. Well, it turns out that the bottom edge of the bezel also has a polished bevel. This is a detail that really didn't need to be there, but it shows that Watchdives really took their time with the design and didn't skip on the little details like this. The rest of the case is brushed, the finishing is very well done, and I have to say that it is on par with St. Martin's watches. The transitions between the brushed and polished parts are crisp and sharp, and I didn't find any areas where the finishing wasn't done properly. The crystal on this watch is a mineral crystal with clear AR coating. I'm happy they went with clear instead of the blue AR coating that some of these watches go for. But like the Addiesdive AD2030, I would have paid a little bit more for this watch if it had sapphire crystal. I don't know if it's because there isn't enough demand for sapphire crystal or if it's because there is more demand for watches under $70. For example, the Addiesdive's Explorer homage, the AD2023, has sapphire crystal, but it's also about 35% more expensive than the AD2030, which is a much better seller compared to that watch. So maybe the sweet spot for a VH31 powered watch is around that $70. Let me know in the comments below if you would pay a little bit more for a sapphire crystal. Anyways, let's look at the dial. This watch is available in two variants. There is the applied indices variant, and then there is the printed one, which is the one I went for. I think that the printed dial fits the overall brushed look of this watch. The applied indices adds this little bling effect to the dial that I didn't want. I can see why someone would go for that version, as it might look nice with the polished edges of the bezel, but for me this was the one. They also offer the printed dial version in this yellow or Fauxtina color. You know how I feel about that, so let's just move on. The hands and markers are all filled with BGW9 lume, and the lume is very good. It's not a dive watch, but it still performs very well. The rest of the dial is pretty similar to the original. We have Arabic numerals for the 3, 6, 9, and 12 marker. The other hour markers are actually just a little bit different compared to the original. We have trapezoidal hour markers on this watch, whereas the original has baton markers. The hour and minute hand are very well finished, and they are proportionally sized. The tip of the seconds hand is red, and I really like the little touch of color. The dial has a matte finish and has the Watchdives logo at 12 and 100 meters printed at 6. It's a very clean dial, and that's good because too much text would have made it too busy with the Arabic numerals. This watch is water resistant to 100 meters as it is mentioned on the dial, and that's because it has a screw down crown. It's signed with the Watchdives logo, and it's a good size. I think 6mm fits the case proportions perfectly, but it's also a short crown, so some people might find it hard to grip. Next, let's look at the bracelet. When I received the watch, my first reaction was, oh, it's the same bracelet as the Addiesdive. But turns out it's not the same. Yes, they are both 3-link design bracelets, but the tolerances on the Watchdives bracelet seem to be a bit tighter. The end links are different, and the last center link that attaches to the end link is also of a different length. There are some other differences too, but mostly they look similar. The clasp, on the other hand, is exactly the same. It's a folding clasp with dual pushers, and it has 5 holes for micro adjustments. It's brushed with 2 polished bevels on the side, and the Watchdives logo in the middle. One thing to note, Watchdives has 20mm listed for the lug width, but I measured 19mm. The bracelet starts at 19 and tapers down to 16mm. The overall finishing of the bracelet is good, and for this price, I really can't complain. Alright, so that wraps up the review. Overall, I think this is a great watch. It's different enough from the original design, and those differences are things that I really like. Watchdives took the right decision to put a VH31 movement in this. It keeps the watch very slim, it keeps the cost down and makes it more attainable for everyone. For me, these little quartz watches have become my grab-and-go watches. Sometimes I'm in a rush and I don't want to, wind my watch and set the right time, so I just grab one of these and I'm off for my day. So, is this some kind of a return of the quartz watches? I see more and more brands coming up with a quartz model. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this watch and how do you feel about quartz watches gaining more popularity lately? So, as usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with a friend or two. And if you want to see more watch content, please subscribe to the channel and click on that notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you on the next one.